this Piedmont City Council meeting of May 21st, 2025 to order. Citizens remarks, Joe, Krista, Kurt, Ann, Jenny.
Yep, I did have a couple of remarks. First, I wanted to say something about this water administrator idea that was on the agenda for today. And it had been mentioned to offer Greg some sort of position as an outside consultant almost until the water project is done. And I'm just putting up the possibility that we probably might not need that, since I'm going to be on the council in the next, in a few weeks, and I have a lot of expertise in the area of the water and sewer. And I've also been in touch with all the people that Greg is in touch with pretty much. And in fact, this week I've contacted, I called Alan Martin's office, found out it was now Justin, Justin is the guy that we talked to from that office. There's several other people from the PSC that you've talked to. Alex Kavarik is another one that I think Greg's talked to a bunch. I've already talked to him a lot. He knows me. I know a lot about these water issues. So I don't think we really need an extra person on the council. I should be able to take care of it. Anything that has to do with the water. I've been involved in it since before we were taken off of the mill supply. So I just wanted to put that out there. But the main other thing that I brought up, I sent you all guys a letter. I put it all in your box. And there were several things on here, but the main thing I wanted to discuss just briefly tonight, and I think we're probably going to need to have a meeting with this on the agenda, because there's a lot of things to talk about on this, and I really want to cover it. So what this is based on is from the audit reports that Piedmont gets.
Well, like I said, you told us when you brought it in the office you wanted it read under correspondence.
Well, I didn't. If you want to read the whole thing, you can. I'll summarize it. But if you want to read the whole thing, you're welcome to.
You said you wanted it read under correspondence, is what you said when you brought it into the office.
Well, so what I'm saying now, being the person who wrote the letter, is you don't really have to do that unless you want to read the whole paragraph. But what basically I'm asking you for is to discuss Piedmont's 2024 audit report. And only page 21
right.
of the audit report, which is the budgets versus the actuals. That's all I needed to talk about. I do want to discuss what else it says. Is I want to discuss the other
like I said,
reports.
we're going to do that under correspondence because that's how you asked for it.
Okay, go ahead.
You specifically asked that.
You're the boss. You do it how you'd like to.
Did you not specifically say you wanted this done as correspondence?
I don't actually recall.
Yes, you did.
And I think since I wrote the correspondence and I've got it here in my hand,
okay.
it may not be necessary.
Well,
I'm saying it's not necessary for you to read it. If you'd like to put it on the record, please do. It was intended to be read, so it's meant to be read.
You wanted it read under correspondence.
Okay, then please go ahead.
That's what I planned on doing.
Okay, good. So that's the end of the conversation about it then? So I get to respond. Are we going to talk about it then when you read it?
I'm going to tell you what the auditor told us.
What the auditor? Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good thing to
say,
but you're just kind of not really communicating what you're trying to do here. So I understand that.
I said we're waiting to it.
You're going to read that and then you're going to answer my questions.
I'm going to answer your questions.
Because this is citizen comments, and I was planning to make this as a citizen comment.
That's not what you told me.
It's exactly what I said I'm going to do.
No, you did not.
I said I was going to discuss it at the council meeting, and it wasn't on the agenda, so the only place I'm allowed to discuss it is during citizen comments.
Well, we'll go right to it and I'll read it now.
All right, if that's what you want to do.
To the mayor, clerk, and all council members, there are some important questions that need to be answered while all of you are still serving on the council. You have all had your positions for at least 4 to 6 years, and all of you have been approving budgets and expenditures during that time. I am planning on discussing Piedmont's 2024 audit report at the May 21st council meeting. Specifically, I want to ask you about page 21 of the report, which discusses the actual revenues collected and expenses paid as compared to the budgeted amounts. There are large differences between the budgeted versus the actual amounts, and I'm asking you to come to the meeting prepared to discuss the reasons for this. I also plan on discussing the 22 and 23 audit reports in the near future since they show similar issues. I had also asked you for a report on how ARP funds were spent, and I've never seen any information about that. I think it would be a very good idea for you to put together a detailed report on how you spent the $354,514 of the ARP money. This should be completed before July 1st when the new council takes office. It would be easiest if you would voluntarily complete this report as soon as possible, but I am more than willing to write it in a formal FOIA request if necessary. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Danny Bauer. So, we got our audit out, and we called the auditor that did our audit report.
Okay.
And we asked him, because I don't know how to read it. I'm not an accountant, I don't know how to read this, but when he was in the office, he said everything was fine, and then they send this. The only problem we have after the audit is we don't have enough people in the office to do all the work that's in the comments. But the original budget amount, that is our estimation. When we have our budget thing, we just estimate what we think when we go by our previous audit. And that's where our mistake is what he told us, because our budget is what we estimate and the actual amount is what was actually budgeted, actually used. So he told
Correct.
us moving forward, we should use their actual amounts in our budgets, and everything should be closer next year for the audit report.
That's absolutely
You know what I
correct.
mean? Yeah, this is ours, and he said that's just an estimation of what we get the amount of money that we are to work with in a budget, and we try to make that work in the different areas. But he said next year, use their actual amounts here, which we did never do. We always used ours from the previous year, and that's why it's always got the big differences in it. So he said
Okay.
next year, use this on our budget,
Good.
and then you can lower or raise it as seen. But he said what we think it will be is what we think it will be to what it actually was. We should use your actual when doing the budget. It'll make it closer because every year it's been consistent with being lower. And when we went to one of the budget things, they said, I thought they told us to do lower and then change it in the report sharing sensing.
Change
The
it to
revisions,
revisions.
the
Right.
revisions.
That's correct.
But he told us to start next year on the budget to use their numbers here for the budget, and it should actually more or less straighten itself out.
That's the idea. It is, and actually, I've been trying to say that for quite a while. And I've said that at meetings before, that you needed to use the audit report as a planning tool for your budgets. And that basically got shut down. And so I'm going to be taking a seat on the council, and I look forward to doing the budget exactly the way you're saying the auditor says to do it. That's exactly what I want to do.
Well, we're not accountants here, we're just
Right,
doing
I
the best we
understand.
can, but we don't like being felt like you're calling us a thief.
Well, I haven't called anybody anything, and I still had some questions about this for today. It's just take a minute. There's just 2 lines on here that warrant some extra attention. And well, first off, I've looked at all the budget reports going back 20 years. They're all online still. I've studied them. I've studied the ones that you put out in detail for the last 10 years. And you guys have all been on this for the last 6 years about. And I've read every one of the budgets, and I've been reading the audit reports. And I do understand what they're trying to say, and I want to be able to contribute what I understand about that. But we do need to know where we stand now, and be able to figure out, because it isn't just a matter of, oh, we'll just start doing it what the budget said. There's more than that that we have to look at and try to figure out how we prevent from happening again. And I'll just say these 2 lines, and I don't want to drag us on. Like I said, if we want to have another whole discussion about this, we can. Paula's shaking her head no. I could just come in as a citizen comment and do it a bit piece by piece, but I can wait 6 weeks until I'm on the council and then we will have formal discussions about this. And I think I can maybe contribute something as far as how to do these budgets better. And so this is what I just wanted to ask about. That usually, if they're off by a certain amount, that's okay, even quite a bit. You know, you had originally said that it was 180,000 that you were going to receive. You then revised it to be 183,000, and we're always talking about that we don't have enough money in this town. But last year there was a windfall of some kind in a few categories where instead of 183,000, you actually received 266,000. That's how much the city received, according to the auditors. That was $82,800 more than what your budget was. We should have an easy year last year, paying everything that was on this budget, and $80,000 more to catch up or to do a lot of different things. That's a lot of money. But that didn't really happen. What happened was all that money did get spent, and an additional $54,000 on top of it. The city spent $137,000, or no, the city spent $321,953 when you had a budget for $183. You spent close to double what you were supposed to spend. I just don't even understand how that could happen. And there's two major categories where most of it happened. And this is what I want you guys to look at, and I may talk to you individually or something, or we'll be talking on the new council about it. The general government expense was $43,000. You revised it to $47,000. What was actually spent was $171,000 for general government expense. That's almost the entire annual budget of the city, which is $183. You spent $171 just for general government, which is supposed to be the city building, you guys' salaries, stuff like that. So I want you to look up and see how that much was spent under general government. And the other one that was way off was culture and recreation, which has been for years had $2,000 a year budgeted for it. And last year it was budgeted $2,000. You didn't revise it; it still said $2,000. But the auditors tell us that you spent $42,641 on culture and recreation. And as I think anybody here knows, we haven't seen that kind of culture and recreation expense here. So between those two items, that's about $213,000 of extra spending. You know, so I think you should go back and look at some of the details of that and how that got so large, and how did that get spent during the year when I've read every single meeting report, all the minutes. Never was there an announcement that there was some huge bill that came up that we had to spend this huge amount of money to catch up with. You know, now and then we've had to catch up with Western Port, or we've had some other things happen, but I've never, seen where we had so much over, and then yet at the end of the year we came out minus 54,000. We've spent 54,000 more than that large amount we got. So, and then at the end, this is another part that wasn't done correctly on the budgets for a long time, the ending fund balances. When accounts have any money in them at the end of the year, that has to show up at the beginning of the year on the new budget, that you already have some money in those buckets. You've already got now they've got you dividing it into fairs and festivals, parks and recreation, coal severance fund, etc., and you know by accounts how much are in there. And so the fund balance, it's showing that there's a balance at the end of the year. Even though we came up short 54,000, we spent that much more than our bills, we had an ending fund balance of $30,300. That means there's $30,000 sitting around in the general fund or somewhere. So there wasn't a need to have gone 54,000 past the budget. We could have gone 24,000 and used that 30. There's 3 or 4 things in this that are large and don't add up. And on the 2 years prior, there are different things that are just as large, if not a little larger, and also don't add up. So we need to talk about those and understand them and understand how we will try to not ever do that again, because that's bankrupting the city. I won't mince words. And I've heard that word said in this meeting by a council member before, that they were afraid that maybe we were headed for bankruptcy. And honestly, if it's on a video that he said that, and honestly, if we don't really do something about this, I don't really know. I don't know if we can pull out of this kind of a problem. This is a huge problem, and I feel a little bit intimidated about walking into this council with this. And that's why I wanted to air this and make sure that we all understand this is the situation it's in now, and that we are taking over. And I agree. Let's try to do everything the auditor said. I understood everything that you read about that, and I can help explain it if you don't understand it. And we'll all go back to the auditor and clarify anything that we're not absolutely sure about.
Yeah.
And I'm totally willing to help with all that. So that's all I have. I didn't mean to take up so much time, but I think it was very important. So thanks. We'll talk more about it later. Thank you.
Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes?
I'll make a motion here approve as read.
A second. All in favor? Opposed? It'll be accepted as written. Reports? Rhonda?
Okay. So it's been a busy week for the obvious reasons. I'm very busy. First thing I'd like to do is going back to last Tuesday is thank the local businesses that stayed open. I know a lot of things just shut down and ran, but we had Samuel's that was open, Pit Stop that was open, L&M Plumbing, of course. And Ducky's actually opened up for first responders only. Trish came down, opened it up, and made free pizzas for all first responders that were on duty from about 3 o'clock to 10:30 that night. And she mentioned that some people would call down, just say, hey, are you guys open? And when she'd say, no, I'm really just here making for first responders. She said she didn't get met with any kind of negativity, but just like, oh, we understand. So it's good to see that the businesses that support the people stayed open to support our neighbors from the immediate north, because I think everything over there was closed. So I'd like to thank them first. And then, I mean, basically the heavy rain and the consequences have kept our town crew hopping ever since that happened. We were fortunate, we had minimal damage in town. It was mostly debris in the street from the rain, clogged drains, runoff ditches, a little bit of localized flooding around 2nd and Lyons Street, which we got a pump from, our guys did and pumped that out. Piedmont Housing Authority stepped in and loaned us equipment and manpower too to help get us cleaned up. That was very, very nice of them. And, Jason actually contacted us. We didn't think to contact him, so that was good. Like to see a little community coming together. We did have a little flooding at the Salt Building. It was the whole playground. It was underwater. So, no apparent major damage, however, small engine items, radiators, blowers, things like that were drained, cleaned, dried, and refilled. And we also helped Western Fort with mud removal. We offered our trucks guys and times for that. So in Rodney's report, we had a repair order done on a residence. Maybe you can speak to that better than I can, but it is on the list. Shovel, we got the streets cleaned up, the guys did clean the salt truck building, out. Washed the trucks, our trucks were a muddy mess, we did much before we got them all cleaned up. So it was just basic maintenance, trying to stay ahead of that, but, they worked for a very long time on Tuesday, trying to get things cleaned up.
Just a few things. First of all, the contractors are finished with the houses, tearing the houses down. I think they look fantastic. I hope everybody agrees. A lot of work went into that, a lot of headache. Both those companies that did those jobs, I think they did a really good job. They were great guys to work with. I haven't heard one complaint from anybody neighboring any of those homes. So I think they did a good job, and I think it looks great. Like I said in the last meeting, we got a long way to go to clean this town up, and that's why we're here. To try to finish cleaning the town up the best we can. Got a list of about 15 more. 2 that are ready to go now if we get the funding. I said that in the last meeting. But all in all, I think they did a great job. And I hope the city, I hope you guys are happy with the job that was done, because I think it looks wonderful. I have another thing, and I think I might have brought this up one other time. I think it's time, you know, we got some people in town that maintain their properties, like Kurt and his wife there, they maintain their property up there, and it looks fantastic. We got a few others throughout the town, and I think we need to recognize those people. I think we need to put it in the, can we put it in the water bill or something like that? Yeah, you know, come up with some kind of, something, we take a picture, and, if we're allowed to take your picture, put it on the water bill, recognize you, and just do it during the summer months, because, I think it's important to encourage people. And I've had the conversation with Rick a little bit. There's a lot of good things that are going on in this town, and that's one of them. People, again, like Kurt and Angela, that maintain their property, continue to live in Piedmont, and your property looks flawless. And there's others that do the same thing. But at least during the summer months, recognize those people, and, you know, if there's an award letter we can put together. I don't have all the particulars on it, but, you know, something we can think about and toss around and recognize somebody once a month or whatever. Other than that, that's it.
Sounds good. Terry?
First of all, I'd like to thank the minimum number of people that came out and voted last Tuesday. Kind of gives you an idea of who's concerned and who's not concerned about what goes on in the town. Ron, we mentioned it, and it's on the agenda. We had some damage back at the park again. Every time it happens, it costs the town more money. We're going to discuss that tonight. I echo Paul's sentiments about the town. Looks a heck of a lot better today than it did 7 months ago. And hopefully that progress will continue in the right direction as we get some more houses torn down. Hopefully the state will approve the program again, and we can request additional money. I think our town attorney, Jason, needs to be commended for the job that he's done in this whole process. It's been quite an ordeal. Financial report. I want to thank Paul for updating everybody 2 weeks ago. I was under the weather, had a cold, sore throat. My wife's bad with shingles, so been dealing with her also. The general fund, we have $3,211.59. The water account, we have $3,377.60. The sewer account, we have $5,213.11. Parks and Rec stands at $5,982.82. Swimming pool stands at $4,063.02. 941 account, $5,000. Fire department grant, 42 cents. Security deposit, $4,675.68. Coal severance tax stands at $576.84. Pearl Street repairs, $90. The excess levy stands at $2,015.21. The water improvement project has nothing in it. The water CWCR account stands at $5,394.51. The sewer CWCR account stands at $4,516.24. The GoPay, West Virginia GoPay account, available balance $639.28. The renewal and replacement account stands at $2,111. Nothing in the DWTRF account. The police account stands at $4,185.66. The opioid account, $610.62. And the water and sewer depreciation account stands at $1,037.29.
Beth?
First of all, I'd like to make a statement. You do have something wrong on your report, Danny Powers. You have me as being here 46 years. I don't know.
I think I said most of you. I was trying to
You said you all have been in positions for 46 years. I haven't been here for that long. I've been here for 2 years.
I put you in the report.
No, I have not.
My mistake, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. I just want to have that. I wasn't in my position. Okay. And as far as the park goes, they were heavily flooded on 5/13. Doesn't seem to be any long-term damage. The part that was mulched had very little damage. But there's a lot more mulching to do, but it's been halted due to the weather. The breaker box was once again damaged. You can look at these pictures if you want to. This is about the 4th time it's been done. And that costs money. So I'd like to have that noted. And also, the town was able to get the park cut, the grass cut, and tidied up a little bit before the water, after the water receded. And if you want to look at these pictures, you may. I'll pass them around.
I have a comment on the park. I wonder about
One more.
on the park. I thought it's been a while since I've been in a meeting, but I thought we had a camera at the park,
There is cameras.
and then they are not getting caught.
Nope, they're not. This is the damage.
But I mean, is the camera
Okay.
not like getting the whole area, and they're doing it outside the camera, or the camera is not
You
working?
have to talk about who mans the cameras, because I don't know what they catch.
Okay, but I'm just saying that.
Yes,
we do
there
have
are
that,
cameras
so
back there.
Who
There-
runs the cameras?
They're noted on our monitors here, but evidently they're doing it at a time or covering it over so they can't be seen or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But it is damaged.
Okay, but there was a camera, so maybe.
Yes, there are
something will be
cameras
done,
back there,
maybe.
yes.
Getting into work.
There you go. That's all, Paula.
All right, first of all, I would like to make one comment. I won't speak for the rest of the council. I believe for the last few years, we've been trying to make it about as transparent as you can be, let them know what's going on. And just a recommendation on the wording. The last paragraph of your request today, at least to me, came across as a threat. Okay, that's my opinion. Never denied anyone any information that's asked me. If you want to just say, there don't have to be a threat of FOIA. I completely understand how FOIA works, and if that's the way they want to go, that's up to you. But that last paragraph came across to me as a threat.
Well, I did ask you months ago for a report on the ARP funds, and you've blown me off on that. I've asked you by email, and so it is true that I can ask you things and you don't just give me any information I ask for. And that's why I mentioned the FOIA in there, because I've had to FOIA you guys before for important information, such as your bank statements. I had to take you to court over that. You were fighting so hard to keep it from me. So don't try to tell me that you're not resisting giving me information. You've been pretty good about it, Greg, but I have a list of things that I've asked you for that you haven't responded to. such as, have you filed the formal complaint with the Maryland PSC about their water rates?
No, I have not. We have been dealing with the way the council has said to deal with it. They've got the FOIA request,
Okay.
and in my report, I'll tell you the response we've got.
Okay.
So,
But it was never intended as a threat. I don't think, saying it would be easiest, I said it'd be easiest because a FOIA request creates extra work for Sharon. She has to submit a report to the state if a FOIA request comes in, and she has to do a log report. It's more work. It's easiest, and I meant it easiest. I didn't mean it was going to be easiest because something's going to happen to you. I think you guys are a little jumpy, as I am too. We're just getting to know each other a little bit better here, and there's some things that we need to talk about, some heart-to-heart talks we need to have. And this stuff that I'm asking for, the ARP report, a detailed report on that, is very much needed. That was another $350,000 that you guys spent in a 2-year period. You guys sitting at this table spent $350,000 that we did not really see.
And all that's
Anything.
documented.
We got,
All that will be documented, you will get a report.
Good.
Every penny that was spent was authorized and
we
put
wanna
on
see it.
people above, the power that gave us the money.
I haven't said anything about what happened to the money. I've just said that we don't know as the citizens, and we'd like to know. We're not accusing anybody of anything. We're not saying you did anything wrong. Until we see that report, I can't make any sort of statement like that. So I'm very happy to hear that you are intending to put out a report. Although I did ask for that report probably 6 months ago.
Who did you ask to report from?
I asked Greg Harvey for it. I was standing in the office, and I think Sharon was there and heard me ask about it and say that we would like a report about the ARP funds. I'm not sure if Paula was there. But I have mentioned it before, and I'm not the only person who has had questions about what happened with that large amount of money that came in. And that was spent in 2 years, and then the very next year, it was last year, and you got another large amount of money and spent it without us hearing about it, without us seeing what it was spent on. So that's not transparency. That's not, I believe I can help demonstrate transparency when I'm on the council. This is one of the things, this part of it is when I bring this camera. I do this with my own time, my own money. I spent 3 years recording these council meetings on my
and you're
own.
always behind the camera.
I can get in front of the camera if you'd like, you know, if you think that's better. I'll make sure I put a little segment in each one in the introduction where I say, I'm Denny Powers, I record these meetings. If you think that's important, I'll do that too. In fact, I will be in front of the camera. I'm going to be sitting at that table, and the camera's going to be pointed at me, and everything I say is being recorded now and will be recorded then, and will be available to the public within 24 hours probably of the meeting. So that's the beginning of some real transparency, and I'm really happy and excited actually to get started on that.
You don't have to have permission to do video.
No, you don't need permission to record a public meeting.
Public meeting.
We've checked that years ago, so.
That's fine.
As I said, I recorded every meeting for about 3 years. I didn't miss hardly a meeting, and it provided a lot of important information to the people of Piedmont about the water issues when we were first trying to figure out what was happening with getting off of the mill water. And that's all documented. It's all still on YouTube. People can still go back and see all of those. And so we're starting that again. Starting now, and it'll continue through when I'm in front of the camera too. So.
You talk about transparency, and I've been on the board 4.5 years, and I don't know how many times I've mentioned at this table we have to be transparent with them. And we try to be as transparent as we possibly can be. I was not aware of you requesting, information about the ARP funds. If you can publish this and send it and put it in everybody's mailbox, you should have done the same thing with that request, and we'd have made sure that it was gotten to you. I did not know a thing about it. I don't think Ron knew a thing about it, I don't think Paul knew a thing about it, and I know Deb didn't know a thing about it. So if you're going to do this with this kind of material, do it with all your other requests. That's all I.
And also, I would suggest that people like Greg Harvey, when I speak with you and I mention things like that we wanted an ARP report, it would be the responsible thing to mention that to the other council members. It shouldn't be on me to distribute all information between all you guys. I will do that now that I'm going to be on the council. I will make sure everybody is on the same page with everything that I try to do or anything that's going on. Pardon?
The letter was just to prepare.
Yeah, I gave you guys that letter last Thursday, so you'd have plenty of time to know about it and to decide what you wanted to do or think about it or read, whatever it was, and give me a summary. You had about a week. I didn't just blindside you with it like I could have. So I'm trying to cooperate with you guys and contribute something to you guys, and there's some sense of that I'm being fought against.
And I'm not going to believe you at this point, because we can say what was said. You did come in the office, you asked for the ARP, me and Sharon talked, but she has to send a report in to it. You also need to remember that how that conversation ended. You asked me how he was paying Westernport. I told you how we did it without raising the rates. You said, I don't believe you're being honest with me, and I said, leave. If you don't believe my answer, there's no use asking me questions. I try to be transparent and tell you exactly, here's what we did here, here's why we had to raise it. You're not being honest with me. Okay, then I'm going to quit talking. Because if you don't believe what I'm saying, then there's no use me talking.
Well, I tend to base what I say on what I read in documents that are state documents or contracts. I don't just make things up. And when you want to refute them, I would expect that you would produce similar type of documents and not just say that my opinion is that you're wrong. Show us the document that shows that I'm wrong. You haven't done that either. And you all keep saying I'm accusing you of stealing. I've never done that. I've just said that there's a lot of questions that we need to ask about the finances, and you jumped ahead and say, well, you're accusing us of stealing. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's take one step at a time here. There's a lot of stuff we need to unravel here.
Okay, let's just move on to the meeting.
You know,
Terry, let's just go on to the meeting. Let's not beat a dead horse in it.
All right, as far as the report, had our call with the DEP about finalizing the long-term control plan. We had Thrasher Engineering who helped us write the control plan out. They requested some capacity level information and some flow level on their sewers, which we have neither one. We do not. The DEP doesn't seem to understand we're not a collection system. Our sewage goes from here to UPRC. We don't store it anywhere. So they're supposed to get back to us on that. They want the flow rates. We're going to get numbers off of UPRC. I do not believe they segregate Piedmont sewage from Western ports. It all comes into one line on the other side of the river. And they only know a total flow, but they're going to get back. When I talked to Thrasher the next day, they said everything they asked for, and we asked exactly what they needed. They told us we're not sure. Then why ask until you know what we're sure? What we've asked for is a copy of a long-term control plan that has been approved by the DEP. Because I can't find any. Every town I've talked to, everyone's got something wrong with them. So we will continue to chase that goal. As far as the water, everyone, of course, is well aware of what has happened with the river situation right now. The issue is the turbidity levels are up coming in, which is not surprising, which means we don't have the flow rate coming in. So what it used to take 4 hours to do, now it takes 8. The guys have did an enormous job. I'm sure some of you saw on social media that the Western Port ended up on a boil water notice shortly. We did not. Our turbidities level on the outlet water did not go up. Everything was done fine. It's just going to be a slow process until the river cleans itself up, that we can get our flow rates back up. Because of that, we're going to delay our compliance testing. We have until July 1st, first 6 months of compliance testing. So we're going to hold off until things clean up a little bit. The sentinel testing, you're gonna be involved in that, Paul. That'll be done June 3rd and 4th. I'll be contacting you. The federal EPA wants to come in, give us special instructions on how to do that on the 3rd. They'll get the samples on the 4th. As soon as we get our levels back up in the tank, we will drop the basins and clean the sediment out of the tank. For those that we have not received the official notice yet, at Westernport's last council meeting, they voted to rescind any offer to be our emergency water backup, and they also voted to rescind extending our contract past the current one that's signed. So this will go to an attorney, because this is 2 days after we give them a FOIA request. So that's going to be a lawyer's determination of whether that's considered retaliation or not. So we will continue to talk with Thrasher. We talked before about a second well as a backup water source. See what grant money's out there for that. The water situation has gotten better for Westernport. And in the year of transparency, as soon as it happened, they called over and needed water. And we sent it over. Because it's the right thing to do. The situation they're in, it's the right thing to do. I've talked to Rick Mayhew and Joe Harvey, and they agreed. They work whatever hours it takes to get everybody through this. Westernport tanks will be filled tonight, so they won't be needing any more water from us. But I do send my prayers out for Westernport. This is bad. You're probably talking a year recovery, at least. Just a quick update. The pool is painted, ready to be filled. And again, we'll be waiting on whether we can pick up our production enough to get the water filled. The tentative opening date will be June 1st, as it sits right now. There's no guarantee on that. That's it.
How about the conserved water?
The conserved water, until we get our flow rates up, we're trying to hold on to that as much,
I think we need to put it back on Facebook or whatever, the people that are still, have not been.
and the people have been wonderful. I mean, they've not gone against that. Like I said, right now, it used to take 2.5 hours to put a foot of water in, now it's taking 5. So, we can do that.
Greg, do you mind I asking a question?
No, go ahead.
I want to judiciously use the word karma, because I certainly don't want anybody to think about this terrible event last week in bad light and all. But under the circumstances, and now water going the other way, is Westernport perhaps given any thought to reconsidering their thoughts about being a secondary source?
I don't know that. Of course, I've heard the word also, and I put it this way, I've been sent social media posts concerning it. Most people that know me know I hate social media. I think it's a chicken's way out myself. I'd rather talk to people face to face, but I believe you may see a different attitude, whether you'll see another vote. I can't tell you that. That'll be up to them. We have not received an official response on our FOIA request. Whether they're going to deny the information and make us go to circuit court, I don't know that. I haven't heard from them on that.
Thank you.
Joe Harvey, he's our, see, we don't have a full-time operator. We got a chief operator. They both work part-time. They both have full-time jobs. One up in Berkeley Springs, one up in Mountaintop. Do a phenomenal job for me, absolutely phenomenal.
Okay, open business, the third reading of the service line ordinance.
And once again, this is in response to the lead service inventory requirements, whereas the state of West Virginia has initiated lead service line inventory, which requires the identification of all service lines in the state. City of Piedmont shall institute the following. Within the jurisdiction of City of Piedmont, from the approval of this ordinance, any property that is either vacant, abandoned, or has been uninhabited for more than 3 months cannot obtain water service from the city unless the following has been successfully completed. Upon completion, the appropriate documentation will be required, including signs of verification from both the city and the current owner. And again, this is to cover all the vacant lots we have in town. Their meter boxes are still on the inventory. So, in other words, if Joe buys Jack Poland's old lot and wants to put a house up, he's going to have to put a new service line in. So,
Okay, I have a motion to accept the third reading.
Make a motion. I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? Will be accepted. The first reading of the nuisance ordinance.
All of this isn't really ready for first reading yet. I handed it out at the last meeting for everybody to go through. This is a very comprehensive ordinance. And I really, if anybody has any tweaks or anything that they want to make to it, I wanted to get those back incorporated into it. But there's a lot of it that would pertain to Paul's area that would eliminate this from happening, you know, before we get to the point where we've been with some of these buildings. So let's just hold off on that.
Okay.
But Bev, Terry, Paul, look through it good. You still have a copy? The areas that pertain to you, look through them, let me know ahead of time so I can get them incorporated into this and let it first read the next time.
Okay.
You've got my change.
Fair enough.
You've got my change.
Okay. Yes, I would love to. So I'll spare everybody that having to listen to me read. Rick's been through it, he knows it's painful. Thank you.
In the water administrator position, I'm in disagreement with Denny. I do believe that Greg should stay on because he has worked through this whole project, and I'm pretty sure he would probably want to see it through. Everybody's familiar with him, and he's familiar with everything that's been done. It's not a paid position, is it?
it's not going to be.
No, it's not a paid position. It's just him staying on, helping with everybody that knows him personally. Nothing against you, Denny, but Greg has started this.
Continuity.
That's actually the only reason I ran for this term as mayor, because I wanted to stay on until I saw the water project through. And hopefully, by July 1st, it's going to be pretty much where I can say it was done while I was in term. So, it's up for a motion whether you want, well, number one, do you want to
Hold on
accept?
a second, I never give you an answer yet.
We will give you a chance.
So I get to twist your arm.
First of all, it would have to be just this project. Okay? No other involvement with the city water, with the water commissioner. It's just seeing this project through.
The well project?
The well project, yes. It's, I will not accept it if it goes beyond that. I have no trouble working with whoever's on the council, keeping them updated, to let them know, taking suggestions, that's not a problem. Right now, everyone knows we're at the point of the bids. The bids will be open June 25th for the work to begin. So, I'd be willing to accept the position on those terms, but that's up to you as a council, and understand one thing. Accept it or not. There's no hard feelings, okay? This has been a tough 4 years. This has been tough. It's got me mentally whipped.
I'd say when I asked him to join council, I told him it was 2 meetings a month. God bless him.
You said that to a lot of people. Came on board.
Yeah.
Every organization does that.
Greg, I think you're all well more than fair.
Look at just look at the last election. You know, I'm the only person in this town that filled out the application and ran for the council. We had two other people come on as write-ins. As I said at the beginning of this meeting, you could see what the people in the town of Piedmont think about what the hell is going on in town. They could care less. And I agree with what Paula said, and I agree with what Rhonda said, and I don't have anything against Denny, and I would hope that, you know, whatever position that you assume, the two of you work together until we got this water situation resolved.
Yep.
It is nothing but a headache, and it's a bother to everybody that lives in the town of Piedmont.
Yep.
And I'll be the happiest person on earth when it is completed and we can tell Westernport where they need to stay.
You'll be happy to start behind Greg.
As inhumane and as thoughtless as those people are on that council and that attorney, it's beyond words. I mean, they put us in this position and Greg has worked his tail off.
Yes, he has.
Getting reports in to everybody that had something that they needed to have filled out, and 3-ring binders full of information that went to various places. And when Greg calls down and asks it, hell, they'd never even read the information yet.
Oh, this is something. Terry, in all respect to you, I've known you forever. And most of you all I've known a long time. We were approached to run for council. I don't want to do it because I don't want to be accused of stuff and walking on eggshells all the time. And did I do this right? Or did I do that right? And that's the reason that we did.
That's the way it is.
That's why we are where we are.
It's thankless,
And I appreciate you all, I really do, honest to heavens. You know,
it's thankless, and the headache is tremendous, the stress is tremendous. And you might as well know that, it is.
oh, I know, I
Ain't no
understand
secret.
that.
And it's not just the water, it's every position.
I know, I know,
And
I
it's
understand.
constant. So, it's a thankless, you hope
But then we,
people appreciate it, just like Mr. LaRue said. You hope the townspeople appreciate, you're not here for the money, because there's no money.
then we
It's
get
all the
accused
headache
of
that you
stealing
want,
and
that you
everything,
want.
you know, you don't want in that, and I don't, and I know he doesn't. You know, but I appreciate y'all. Really do.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Chris.
Just like Greg was saying, that he went to that meeting Monday when they made a vote to not renew anything with us. The next day was a flood. I got on the phone, called over and offered our services. They didn't know what to say. We're the friendly neighbor. Call us State Farm. Yeah, like a good neighbor, yeah, we're there for them.
Yeah.
They're not there for us, but we were there for them.
The sad part is, I don't think it's all those people. I have a lot of friends in Westernport. And they're appalled by what's going on. But I think it all comes down to maybe two people. Bottom line, regardless of what anybody else says, and if you want to tell them what I said, go ahead, because I really don't care at this point in time. Like,
Can I say this? I understand the frustration of being on the council. Don't group the majority of the people in that. There's a lot of good people.
that's what I
The
said.
problem is, the ones that ain't yell the loudest, and it appears that everyone's yelling, and that ain't it. That's not it. But I've had, some of the attacks on the council on social media never come directly at me, but I know who it's come to. It's despicable, and that's what discourages good people from being involved. The only thing you can do is keep your eye on the prize. Be here for the right reason, and no matter who's on the council, if y'all ain't pointing in the same direction, it ain't gonna work,
Right. And I've been around, I've been on both ends of town, been downtown, talked to a lot of people. Pretty much everybody echoes what you say. They are interested, they're good people, but they don't want that stress, because it's always the squeaky wheel on the social media, because there's no responsibility, there's no accountability. So they can sit there and they can name call. There's been some pretty despicable names we called and directed at the mayor. Evil names that you would, I'm sure, wouldn't be said to her face. I know they wouldn't be said to mine.
I'm a flying vagina.
Yeah.
They don't come to the meeting to face to face.
Right.
That's
And that's what
that's
discourages
that's
good
company.
people like you. There are tons of good people in this town. But we're gonna make it so they have a spine and they wanna be here. And just ignore the keyboard warriors or whatever they call them.
Okay, back to the meeting.
All right,
Greg said his say. I want to know if we have a motion to make him the water administrator for just the well project only.
I would like to make a motion to make Greg Harvey the water administrator for the remainder of our well project.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You're stuck.
And you thought you were out.
Okay, new business, the approval for street closure for Home Fest. She said she wanted Green Street, 2nd Street down to the library, and the Legion, the lot.
Legion parking lot.
It's not, it's a city lot, but we call it the Legion lot. So I'll
I'll make a
entertain.
motion for approval for street closures for Home Fest 2025.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'll tell Suzie that's taken care of. The electric service of the pavilion.
So, I'm back there several times a day with my dog. And numerous times I've had to report back that, I guess it's just a breaker box, right? It's been broken into. So the city's paid for that, and that breaker box is back there so that good people can come with their crock pots or their whatever it is and have electric for their picnics, their family reunions, or whatever it is. However, we have that element either in town or passing through town that continues to break the box. Mr. Morton fixed the box last time, thought it was pretty much of a fail-proof thing, but somebody had to put a pry bar underneath of it and break that door open. Turned our electric on, so, sat back there, used our electric, did whatever, damaged the box, and after some discussion, I would be in favor of just cutting service off to that box. It's a shame, but we keep fixing it, we keep paying to fix it, they keep breaking it. It's a shame for the people that go back there and use it for the right reasons, but
It's been broken 3 or 4 times, and it's cost us, $200 every time to get it fixed? Sharon?
We probably got $1,000 wrapped up in it. And that last one, he put 8-inch thick bar, and they still get into it. And the thing is, I talked to Ron, there's no lights back there. There's no one's supposed to be back there after dark anyway. If it's an absolute emergency, they need electricity, you can run the extension cord from our salt building over to use it. Right now, we got 13 electric bills. 12 would be nice, because even when it's used, there's still a minimum charge to it.
$200 a month? I think.
They're not.
No,
Where does that box feed from? Does it feed from the salt building?
No,
I don't think.
it's on a pole.
There's light come across the line from the pole that feeds the church, but
Then we could shut it off there at the salt building and.
I was gonna say, with the Home Fest coming up, would they be able to use the one from the salt building for the Home Fest? Would that be adequate?
depends on how much they want to pull. What all
What
they're
does
gonna.
it, because they have resources electric.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to leave them without electric.
Is she gonna have anything back there?
It's not gonna be right there.
I don't know, I don't think.
Sounds like most of us could be on Second and
Yeah,
Green Street.
Oh, okay.
Well, you have a motion, did you make a motion?
yeah, I was gonna say, think about it, it's up to council. Do we wanna keep paying for the vandals to destroy our stuff? Or do we wanna cut it off?
I agree with cutting it off.
Is there a motion?
Need a motion? I make a motion to cut it off.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You've got the electric off. Certification of the municipal election. We have the canvas Monday. It was, everything turned out, so we're certifying that the election is done over. New council, I will have at the second meeting in June, after the meeting's over, I will swear in the new council people, and they will take office, they will come to the first meeting in July. So Danny, will be at the second June meeting, right?
Yep,
Okay.
for sure, I will.
So, like I said, that meeting, after the meeting, at the end of the meeting, we'll do the swearing of the new council. And you guys will take care of it July 1st. Is there anything else we need for council? Okay, I also want to give my prayers for Westernport because it is a long haul for them. We continue to help them as well as we can.
Will this be your last meeting today?
Now I got the 2 in June. Like I said, the second one in June is when I'll swear in the other one. And re-swear you in.
Maybe.
Okay. There's nothing else, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion for adjournment.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Next meeting will be